Hi, I'm just making a short video if you were absent. We're doing a group project this week. Today is Monday, September 21st, and I'll give you an overview of what's happening for the duration of this week. For the silver group and then purple group, you already completed this, but you can watch this if you were absent and need a little bit of a reminder as to where to pick up and finish up missing work. So when you log into It's Learning, remember that's always where you start. On the home page, you choose your class. And then once you choose your class, I'll make sure that I'm in student view for you. It automatically defaults to teacher view for me. So this is what your page should look like in the student view. Notice there's this start button. This is this week, so I'm going to click start. Remember that you can always close out right here and then just reopen it by clicking start. It doesn't matter. And then to move through the resources, you use these arrows and you can go toggle back and forth, no problem. So we're in this expedition in terms of making your thinking visible. Regardless, I always care the most about what you think. Either your spoken word or your written word is really important to me. And that's what we're engaging in here. Specifically, what I'm going to be looking for you to do at the end of this week is to express what it means to be a writer and a reader. We wrapped up what it means to be a writer last week, and then this week we're starting in on what does it mean to be a reader. And then of course we've got the new learning management platform, It's Learning, and one of our learning targets is I can navigate It's Learning, just so that you're comfortable in this new platform. This is today, Monday, September 21st. Remember that it's nice actually just to click, these are the slides we're going to go through. It's nice to just have those slides open outside of It's Learning so you have some freedom and you're not in the It's Learning box for sure. And then I forgot what slide I was on, so I was like, oh, okay, it's slides 39 to 51 today. So we pick up where we left off and can scroll down to slide 39, and I'm just getting ready for the learning today. And there we are. I'd just like you to spend a minute in your comp book. Remember, you always want your comp book available so you can jot down your thoughts. If there's not a place in It's Learning for you to type up your responses, I'd like you to jot your thoughts down in your composition book that you have next to you, or some people have chosen to do a Google Doc as their comp book and are just keeping a running record of their thoughts that way. If you prefer an electronic version, that's totally fine. Just have it all in one place, either all on one doc or all in your comp book. So should I ask for it, you can give me a picture of it or share the doc with me and I can have it. So you want to just think a little bit about our Zoom meetings together, or if you're in class and you were absent, just reflect a little bit on the group protocol that we did well on and which one we could work on, and jot that in your journal. So go ahead and pause the video and do that at this time. Okay, welcome back. Thank you for your reflection on that. The next piece, you can just read through yourself. It's definitely a goal of this class to think as if we are all artists with our words as tools, either spoken or written, and that we're going to change the world for the better through our art form. So really what you're interested in is just making your local environment a little bit better for sure, and words are a powerful tool in that regard. You'll be reflecting on this in your journal if you were absent. So just think about how we did the raft protocol in writing and how you were doing some perspective taking and connection making. You were uncovering complexity, seeing and noticing specific details in the artworks. Just imagine how you did on this particular learning target in terms of using those examples to support your claims and doing some various perspective taking. So go ahead and pause the video and once again, jot down your thoughts in your comp book or on your doc, however you're choosing to document your interactive pieces that aren't turned in on It's Learning. Okay, thank you for your reflection on that. If you've unpaused your video and you're ready to start forward, once again, we're going to do a little check-in on this learning target. I can express what it means to be a writer and a reader. What does it mean to be a writer? So just jot down a couple of thoughts in your book, your comp book. What does it mean to be a writer? Go ahead and pause your video. Okay, welcome back. This wraps up the what does it mean to be a writer portion, and I'm going to read this poem to you. Listen to the Mustn'ts by Shel Silverstein. Listen to the Mustn'ts. Listen to the mustn'ts, child. Listens to the don'ts. Listen to the shouldn'ts, the impossibles, the won'ts. Listen to the never haves. Then listen close to me. Anything can happen, child. Anything can be. So we're moving into this next piece where this week we're going to be taking a look and using the word, phrase, sentence protocol in a discussion to express how a chosen piece of literature makes you feel, providing examples from the texts that are multicultural selections to support your claims. And so the performance indicator we're looking at is using clear reasoning and relevant evidence for both introducing and supporting your claims in writing. And so the word, phrase, sentence protocol is super helpful when we get into essay writing or even for any written or spoken response. It's a really nice protocol to get your evidence and then start with your reasoning and your analysis from that place. So you're going to jot down, since you were absent and you wouldn't be able to like chit chat on Zoom or chit chat in person. Once again, you're going to write down your thoughts and just brainstorm a little bit. Why do people read? Thank you for your thoughts on that. Why do people read? And jotting those pieces into your comp book. Next, you will watch this little video here on 10 surprising benefits to reading. And you'll definitely pause this video and then click out into a new window for that. So pause me and take a look at this video. You'll be asked afterwards to jot down like 3 of the most surprising things or 3 of the most salient points for you in your comp book. Okay, go ahead and pause me and watch that video. Okay, welcome back. So one of the enduring understandings of this class is that we learn about human nature through the study of literature, which often reflects the times, place, and culture where the artist lives. And so we get to do some vicarious travel. We can travel all around the world and meet all kinds of different people we wouldn't otherwise meet when we're reading stories and even reading nonfiction. And then there's that practical aspect also, where it's just a lifelong skill that's part of our daily lives. Like you'll need it no matter what your profession is. You'll need to be able to read legal contracts and like your driver's license to test, and like there's all kinds of little things, of course, that we need reading and critical reading for. So it's just one of those critical skills that we all need regardless. You won't be doing the group discussion since you were absent and weren't on the Zoom or weren't in class. So we'll just skip these protocols. You can revisit it if you'd like. At this juncture, we're going to move into the word, phrase, sentence protocol. And we have a whole collection of just selections of small pieces of the text that we're going to read this year. And for each one of those little texts, you are going to choose a word, a phrase, and a sentence that really captures your attention, strikes you as powerful, moved you, engaged you, provoked questions, anything that kind of captures the essence or the main meaning or captures the heart of the particular text. You do not have to choose the word, phrase, sentence in any order. It's whatever speaks to you first. So since you're online and not in person, in person, I just printed hard copies and people marked it as I was reading it aloud, their word, phrase, sentence. And you will be using this to discuss with groups what you're going to do for your group projects. If you have a printer and you want to have a hard copy, you can go ahead and print a copy out. Or you can make a copy of those text selections. You can find the text selections in a couple different places. I linked it in the comment section down here. And you can open it like that and it pops you out here into the text selections. I also, in It's Learning, put the link right in Monday the 21st instructions here. Okay, so you can find those text selections in a wide variety of places. Notice it's going to be like view only, and so you'll just need to make your own copy if you want to edit it and highlight or make notes on it for your word, phrase, sentence. So if you don't know how to make your own copy, you go File, Make a Copy, and then I would put my name in it so that you have it, and then I'm going to file it in this folder. I like this folder, but you can file it wherever makes most sense for you. But this does go in the introduction at the start of the year for me, and so that's where I want it. And I'm just going to push OK, and it creates my copy, and then I'll be able to edit that copy and choose my word, phrase, sentence. I am going to read these aloud to you, and then after each selection, I'll have you pause your video, double check what your word, phrase, sentence, and then move on to the next selection, just so that you can hear it read aloud. That other one was still loading, so I'm going to use this one that is ready for you. So this first piece that I'm going to read is Her Way by Naomi Shihab Nye. He only listened to his own secret bell ringing and saw another winter come. Muhammad Darwish. Her Way. What water she poured on the floor was more than was needed. Someone suggested she mop in strips as they did on television, yet her buckets were full. The great buckets of field and orchard. She was dragging them room to room in a house that already looked clean. The tune she hummed was nobody's tongue. Already she had seen the brothers go off in airplanes. She did not like the sound. Skies opened and took people in. The tune was long and had one line. So before you pause the video to choose your word, phrase, sentence, I'm just going to model choosing a word, phrase, sentence for you, and you can do it in any order. I'm going to give you some answers that my other section gave me this morning. One person picked as their phrase, dragging them room to room in a house that already looked clean. And that student said that they picked that phrase because it was just so ironic and just such a bummer for this person, the narrator of the poem, to be dragging these huge, heavy buckets of water to clean a house that's already been cleaned. So the house is already cleaned, yet she's just dragging these huge buckets with her that weigh so much from room to room to clean a house that's already cleaned and already done. And so it just seemed redundant. It just seemed heavy. And it just seems like super unhappy and like this narrator is really being weighed down. And so that was one excellent response I heard this morning in my other section. Another person chose the word skies as their word. And the reason they chose skies is because the skies were opening and taking people in. And there's like these airplanes and the brothers are going off. And she doesn't like the sound of it, indicating that there's violence, maybe war. And like the heavens, the skies are opening up and taking her brothers from her. So it's like the skies are opening and like gobbling up her loved ones. And so it's like everything is so heavy and so hard, and then the skies are just taking these people, her close loved ones, off. And so the person chose that word as the most important word and the most powerful word to them, and that was a good answer. And just remember that your word, phrase, sentence, there is no wrong answer. Every single answer is correct as long as you defend it with your own analysis or your own interpretation. And then in terms of a sentence that was chosen, another student chose the sentence, the tune she hummed was Nobody's Tongue. And that student chose that because she's like singing this song, but nobody can understand it. So she's humming in a language that no one else speaks. And so there's this lack of understanding. And so this entire poem, like, you know, she's carrying these heavy buckets, cleaning rooms that don't need to be cleaned. She's singing a song that nobody can understand. And then the skies are gobbling up her brothers who are going off to war and dying. And so just with that word, phrase, sentence, and those three students' explanations, we get a pretty deep understanding of the poem. So what I'd like you to do now, it's okay if you found one of the examples that I gave as the most powerful piece. That's okay. You can jot that down, but I want you to choose, pause this video and choose your own word, phrase, sentence, and just be able to articulate why. You can write on this one, you can write your word, phrase, sentence right underneath here and jot down your thoughts as to why. So go ahead and pause the video. Okay, welcome back. So we're going to practice the word, phrase, sentence with a couple more selections. The next selection we're going to take a look at is Touching Spirit Bear by Ben Nicholson. Touching Spirit Bear. So remember, as I'm reading it, it's okay to mark any kind of word, phrase, or sentence that's powerful to you, that you feel captures the essence, that really uncovers the complexity of the piece, gives you a deeper understanding. Doesn't matter in what order. You can reread the piece several times if you need to, or you can just go with this first read, listening to me read it aloud. Just a reminder, a word is a single word. A phrase is like an incomplete sentence, so just part of a sentence, and a sentence starts with a capital and ends with a piece of punctuation. It's a complete sentence. So an example from this one would be like a word might be spit or attack. Those were words that were used before. A phrase would be how the first attack, or another phrase would be spitting at more. A sentence that people chose was, this is how the first attack should have ended, the last line. So you're going to be, as I'm reading this aloud, looking for a word, phrase, sentence that is powerful to you or captures the understanding for you, and be prepared to say why. Touching Spirit Bear. One way or another, Cole decided to bring this moment to a conclusion. His mouth held little moisture, but deliberately he dredged up spit from deep in his throat, all while meeting the bear's intense gaze with one of his own. When not one more drop of moisture would form, Cole painfully lifted his head. He sucked in the deepest breath he dared. He was spitting at more than the Spirit Bear. He was spitting at his life. The world would take him to the grave with a slimy goober on its face. Cole Matthews would still have the last word. Preparing for his final act of defiance, Cole drew his chin back. Then he spit hard, flinging the saliva with a desperate throw of his head. Pain attacked him from all sides, but he kept his eyes open. He wanted the satisfaction of watching this last moment. As if in slow motion, the glob of spit arched weakly toward the Spirit Bear, but landed in the grass far short of its mark. Cole collapsed. That was it then. He had done all he could. Now the world could do as it pleased with him. The Spirit Bear raised his head slightly and sniffed the air with a long, curious breath. Then it started forward. Cole tensed. This was how the first attack should have ended. Go ahead and pause the video and select your word, phrase, sentence in this selection. Okay, welcome back. Our next selection for trying out this word, phrase, sentence protocol is Monster. And remember that this protocol is really good for collecting evidence for use in an essay or a speech or a presentation. It's a really good start to gathering evidence to defend your claims. If you need a reminder of the word, phrase, sentence protocol, you can always go back to your presentation that you have. That's right there, and it has a reminder on slide 50. Okay, you'll be keeping your ear open and your eyes open for a word, phrase, sentence that you find powerful in this selection of Monster by Walter Dean Myers. I've never seen my father cry before. He wasn't crying like I thought a man would cry. Everything was just pouring out of him, and I hated to see his face. What did I do? What did I do? Anybody can walk into a drugstore and look around. Is that what I'm on trial for? I didn't do nothing. I didn't do nothing. But everybody is just messed up with the pain. I didn't fight with Mr. Nesbitt. I didn't take any money from him. Seeing my dad cry like that was just so terrible. What was going on? Word, phrase, sentence. In any order. Jot down your thoughts right underneath. Welcome back from pausing the video. We're going to go into this next little selection here, The Lottery by Shirley Jackson. Sorry about that. The Lottery. The people had done it so many times that they only half listened to the directions. Most of them were quiet, wetting their lips, not looking around. Then Mr. Sumners raised one hand high and said, "Adams." A man disengaged himself from the crowd and came forward. "Hi, Steve," Mr. Sumner said, and Mr. Adams said, "Hi, Joe." They grinned at one another humorously and nervously. Then Mr. Adams reached into the black box and took out a folded paper. He held it firmly by one corner as he turned and went hastily back to his place in the crowd, where he stood a little apart from his family, not looking down at his hand. Word, phrase, sentence, or phrase, sentence, word. Any order you'd like. Please pause the video and choose the most powerful pieces for you in terms of a word, a phrase, and a sentence. Okay, welcome back. We're going to do the word, phrase, sentence protocol 3 more times, just so you know where we're at. If you have a hard copy, it's all on the last page here. The next piece is a play adapted from the novel Animal Farm by George Orwell. The 7 Commandments. 1, whatever goes upon 2 legs is an enemy. 2, whatever goes upon 4 legs or has wings is a friend. 3, no animal shall wear clothes. 4, no animal shall sleep in a bed. 5, no animal shall drink alcohol. 6, no animal shall kill any other animal. 7, all animals are equal. Word, phrase, sentence. Go ahead and pause the video. Choose what word, what sentence, or what phrase is most powerful for you. You feel like captures the essence of the piece or gives the greatest understanding, uncovers complexity of this piece. Pause the video and choose your word, phrase, sentence. Okay, welcome back. The next 2 sections are very short. There's The Hate You Give and I Am Malala. The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. Once upon a time, there was a hazel-eyed boy with dimples. I called him Khalil. The world called him a thug. He lived, but not nearly long enough, and for the rest of my life, I'll remember how he died. Fairy tale? No. But I'm not giving up on a better ending. Angie Thomas, The Hate You Give. Please choose a word, phrase, and sentence to capture the essence of that piece. Pause the video. All right, welcome back. This is our last little practice with the word, phrase, sentence piece. I am Malala Yousafzai, and hopefully I'm not mispronouncing her last name there. He believed that lack of education was the root of all Pakistan's problems. Ignorance allowed politicians to fool people and bad administrators to be reelected. From I Am Malala, the story of a girl who stood up for education and was shot by the Taliban. Please pause the video and choose your word, phrase, sentence that you find most powerful in that selection. Okay, welcome back. So now you have a word, phrase, sentence, and some reasoning behind why you think those pieces that you chose, those selections, are most powerful to understanding or uncovering complexity on those particular pieces of text. In order to get back to where we were, I left the text selection tab open. I have our presentation open on slide 50, and then I also have the It's Learning tab open. So let's just take a look about what's up today and this week. You can see that Tuesday, we're going to take a look at the next 3 slides. So I'll go through those with you briefly today. We're going to look at some sample projects. So you have some examples of what's worked well. And then in terms of the project preparation itself, notice that we are going to go to Google Classroom for that, because we need to work on collaborative slides, and we need every single person in your group to be able to edit the slides. And Google Classroom will set it up so that that's possible. But in It's Learning, it blocks people out, and it's pretty hard to collaborate on one doc. It's always taking ownership, and then it's very difficult to collaborate and have everything open to everyone in the group. So we will be stepping out to Google Classroom for this project. So you'll be working on your project for most of Tuesday and Wednesday. And then on Thursday, we're going to do project presentations. We'll have a couple of different options. We can do, you can do your presentation on Zoom, where I'll put your presentations up, and then all of you will be speaking and presenting on Zoom to the whole class, or you can also submit a video recording to me, and the audience can be me and your other group members. And so you and your group will need to decide how you would prefer to do that presentation. And then Friday, we're going to need to do our iReady ELA pre-assessment, and I'll put some directions in here for you when it gets closer to Friday on how to do that. So that's the overview of the week. So let's go back to slides 51 to 53, so that if somebody missed this whole week or is in quarantine for this entire week, they know exactly what to do. So we have our text selections, and we've chosen some word, phrase, sentences that are independent. And then I'm actually not going to assign your groups, especially because if you were absent, you may need to do this independently. There may not be anyone for you to work with. If you're online, in the online cohort, you want to pick somebody who's like consistently online that you can consistently collaborate with. I can set up Zooms and breakout rooms for you and your partners during our time, 1:30 to 2:30, for you to work together. You can work together in other ways, like just by collaborating on the doc at any time during the day. But I'm not going to pick your groups for you, because it's tricky to work collaboratively online without being in person with one another. So that's going to be your choice to pick who you want to work with, or if you'd rather choose to work independently. So you're going to use some collaborative slides to create a poster with common elements of what made you and your group feel deeply or connect with another human's experience. So your project ultimately is going to answer this question: why did the person write this selection, and what does a person gain by reading it? So after you choose your groups, you let me know who your group members are, create a copy of your slides presentation, and share it with all your group members so everyone has edit access. Then you're going to choose one of the selections. So I just want a word, phrase, sentence from one of these several selections. So then your group will have to vote and decide which of these selections that we read today you're going to want to do your presentation on. Then you're going to have to discuss what word, phrase, sentences each of you chose in your groups, and decide which ones you're going to present to the class as a whole, or which ones you're going to record in your presentation and submit to me as a recording. The very last question on your presentation will just be doing your best hypothesis in terms of why do you think the person wrote this piece, and what do you think a person gains by reading it. You're going to create your poster and present. So if you're alone, working alone, you can do this on paper and then send a picture of it to me and submit it that way with a podcast piece, or you can hold your poster up and then record yourself and submit the recording to me, or you can hold your poster up on Zoom and present it that way. If you'd like to do paper instead of electronic. I want to show you a sample. These are 10th grade word phrase sentences. And then I'll show you some also from the 7th grade. You can see that these guys use some watercolor and some crayon for creating their piece. And I'm hoping that the graphics show up well enough, but you can, there's like their sentence, their word, and their phrase. And then they have image and colors. Oh, it looks like here's a word up here. So it looks like they put a couple different words in there. That's okay. And then they illustrated it, and we're able to talk about why they chose their word phrase sentence and then why they illustrated it the way that they did. The same with this piece. There's actually a word on this life preserver here, and then the phrase and the sentence are up here. And this one they made like a river-like piece with the sentence, the phrase, and the word. And then they were explaining how all of those pieces capture the essence of that particular selection. We're not going to do this piece yet because that's after we're done. But here's some examples from last year, 7th grade pieces where they did handwritten pieces. And they have like their word, their phrase, and their sentence. And then an illustration that just shows their hypothesis and their best guess in terms of uncovering complexity of this particular text. Same with this piece. They picked for their phrase, like the person's name, and then talked in depth about that quote, and then just illustrated it. So I'm not going to go through all these samples, but you're welcome to take a look at some of these samples that people worked on your own. They're all at the end of this presentation. And we can talk about, if you have any questions about this since you were absent, just send me an email and we can always have a conversation. But you can look at these samples and that will help you determine what pieces to turn into me. All right, so let's go back to It's Learning. So project presentation, and I ready? So really, let's see what's next on our resources. And it has the scoring rubric for the word, phrase, sentence presentation. So you guys will be using this rubric as peer assessment, but then also you can tell how I'm going to be grading your presentation when you submit your video or when we're on Zoom. I'm going to click out to Google Classroom now and show you where to find your presentation template. So I get to my classes because I bookmarked them right here, my Google Classroom, but you can also go to the grid and then click Classroom. And then remember, we're always just starting out in the It's Learning place and then getting to Google Classroom, but I just want to make sure you know where to get to it. It was an assignment previously to go ahead and join our Google Classroom as a backup learning management platform. You can see that in our class here that the assignment is posted and it says when it's due. You can get to it from the stream as it was the last thing posted, but you can also go to classwork and then introduction, start of the year, and then open that project. And then you're going to view that assignment. And that's a little bit different view because I see everyone's projects. But what you're going to want to do, your scoring rubric is there, the brief description's there, and then here's a template for you to use for your presentation. So what you would want to do, this steps you through everything that's required for your presentation. So what you want to do is, with your copy, share it with people who are in your group by clicking share and give them edit access. And then the person who's the owner of the doc will submit it in Google Classroom, and then all of your group members will get credit for it. And I'll be grading everyone's individual spoken response when you present. So every single person needs the opportunity to speak. So then you will share and make sure that they get edit access. So you can see, you can change the themes on this. You want to put your text title, your author there, and an image. You can draw the image and pop a picture in there, or you can use an image from the internet. If so, you're going to need to cite your source in MLA format. You put your word and explain why the word's important to the selection there. There's the phrase, sentence, and then ultimately you're going to answer that question. And then you'll want to make sure that if you use outside sources that you've got a slide that's your works cited slide. So that is the basic overview of what's happening this week. And then I will do another short video to show you what to do with iReady, or I'll show you in a Zoom. If you missed the iReady day, then I'll have to do a quick video for you. Thank you so much for your attention. This was a really long video, and if you were absent, just reach out to me should you have any questions.